Hello, butterfly.
Hello.
Hello. You look very pretty there today with your wings.
I found this screen online, and I kind of didn't realize that when I sat down in front of it, it would make me look like I have actual wings. So I'm quite thrilled about that. Quite excited.
Yeah, it really does. It looks really brilliant. It's fantastic. I've got my white one that I use when I'm downstairs.
Yes.
Quite nice. Quite a nice light background.
I have a white one as well.
Oh, do you?
If I wasn't in a butterfly mood, I would put the white one up. So today I'm in a butterfly mood because
I should have lugged my screen up the stairs, but I was a bit too lazy for that.
Well, at least you have a stairs. I don't have a stairs. I have a room. I have a corridor.
You have a what do you mean you have a corridor?
So I live in an apartment. So there's a corridor and there's like rooms off the corridor. But it suits me perfectly because, I don't need to lug things up and downstairs, and I can do my which has now become my famous corridor strut, which you may have seen on Twitter.
I love those.
Yeah. So it's it keeps my Twitter feed kind of a little bit, not all about music and selfies. My corridor strut. So I use my corridor for my corridor strut.
Yeah, such a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a stair strut would have quite the same impact as a corridor strut. So
I imagine that looking a bit like a Celeste Barber. You know how like you try and look glamorous as you're coming down the stairs in your heels, and then just like roll over and fall over.
Doesn't work. No, I'm much better on level ground.
Yeah, me too, especially in heels.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I'm all about the silver linings. I have no stairs, but I have a corridor, and I can strut on the corridor. So
I love that silver lining. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Everything has a silver lining. Everything.
What about the lockdown? Like, I was about to ask how you're surviving, because it seems like you're doing really well. I get a message from you every day, like when you'd go, I've been doing this, and I've been you've been so proactive. I'm really impressed.
Thank you. But I trained myself a number of years ago to look for the silver lining and everything, and to see, okay, can't control ABC, but I can control DEF, so I'm just going to put all my energy into that. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to do the stuff that I always said I didn't have time to do, and that is recording a song kind of every week, doing some collaborations, writing music, which is something I've never really done. I've written some lyrics before, but not, yeah, exactly. I haven't really, so I'm doing a little bit of that. And normally I don't have the time to be creative or to sit down and sort of spend a few hours kind of brainstorming, because I'm running off here, or catching a flight, or I'm catching a bus because I'm so glamorous, or I'm going to a gig, or do you know what I mean? So it's or I'm kind of making a poster for something that's coming up, because yourself as an independent artist, you have to do everything. You have to be the graphic designer and the promoter and the producer and the everything, and then the singer at the end of it all.
Oh yeah.
So now it's kind of like, gosh, I literally have all the time in the world to practice and to get kind of used to how iTunes and Spotify works, and kind of really engage with people online as well, because often yourself, you'll get these messages from people on social media, and you just don't have time to reply to everybody or to really engage with them. But at the moment I do. So Facebook Lives are great fun. I get to really talk to people. So yeah, I mean, if you focus on, I said DEF, there's quite a lot to be kind of grateful for. And at the end of the day, I think the whole idea of staying in, we have to do it. It's the right thing to do. There are people out there on the front line doing the really hard work. So us staying indoors and finding stuff to be grateful and positive for is a really easy job when you think about it.
Yeah, that's an amazing way of putting it. Absolutely. But talking about your Facebook Live, I'd like you, as you say, you haven't really done them before, because there's something that is actually quite time consuming, and I always find them really nerve-wracking as well. Like, my heart always goes like this.
Yeah. I know, it's kind of because we're so used to kind of like in front of the camera, it being a pre-recorded thing. Like obviously live performances are different, but when you go on a stage, you're a singer, so you're assuming a role, and you're used to using your voice that way. But when you're just talking to people, you're like, oh wow, I don't have this this sort of veneer of singer in front of me, you know. I don't have the music to hide behind or the words to hide behind. It's just me. So that can be a little bit daunting, but I really enjoyed it, because I love when people ask questions online, because as you may have noticed, I love talking. Like, I will answer this question and then I'm never shut up.
Thankfully, I love listening, and your accent is absolutely brilliant. So I'm quite happy to hear and listen to you. That's all good.
I get a lot of that. When I was on doing Facebook Live last week, and I'm doing another one this evening, when I did the Facebook Live last week, the amount of comments, mostly from Americans, actually from the UK as well, were about my accent. And I remember years ago, about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I did an opera course with English National Opera, and I was the only Irish person on it. And I never got tired of people telling me I was cute because of my accent.
Oh, that's lovely.
I've never been so cute in all my life. I'm so cute. But I think the English accent is so beautiful. It's so kind of refined, you know. It's real, like Downton Abbey.
Yeah, if you're not from Gloucester, it's
well, you still have a poshness about you. You're still posher than Irish.
I'm so proud of my Gloucester accent though. Like whenever I get on the phone to my mum, it all comes straight out, proper Gloucester accent, and like I try and like dull it down a bit for when I'm on ships and try and have a more you know, uniform accent. But it's like G4 made fun of me when I was on tour with them because I was singing. What was I singing? A world with no more night. A world with no more night. And I really had to focus not to go world with no in my Gloucester accent because it's got an R in it. So I had to really focus. World with no more night.
But actually, that's really similar to the Irish accent. We use our R's very, very pronounced as well. And we're in classical music, when you're trained from the beginning, it's getting that Irish out, because your tongue is like constantly active when you know, if you're, you know, pronounce your words the way Irish people do.
Oh no, the Irish is so pretty. It's so pretty. Just leave it in there. I was actually thinking about recording a song. I haven't done it yet. Maybe I should. I was thinking about recording a song with my Gloucester accent, like properly.
I would love that.
But it's a song that you sing really beautifully.
Oh, what is it?
Never enough, never.
That's a lot of R's. Yeah, I'm not sure that song could cope.
Oh
I toned down my Irish accent a little bit for Never Enough. If it was, if I had gone full Irish on it, it would have been a very different thing.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh my gosh. I really thought that it, like, the idea made me laugh out loud when I first came up with it. Maybe I should just do it because it would be funny. Oh dear. I always thought when I was studying my Chinese, when I'd been in the south of China, whenever I'd hear anybody from the north, I wouldn't be able to understand them because they use R a lot. And so my friends used to joke at uni, they'd be like, you should go and live in Beijing, you shouldn't be in Nanjing. Because my Gloucester accent would suit the way that they talk up there. So
I love that. Yeah.
It's funny.
But it's true. Yeah, we do. Like, the accent that we have influences, you know, how good you are. It's other accents, you know, like other languages even. And even I'm becoming a complete nerd now, and you could cut this out if you like.
No, good. Nerd,
When I was teaching, one of my favorite things to talk about was how your accent influenced the way you sing. So an awful lot of because the Irish accent is sort of very, the way we speak, or the way the accent makes us speak, is we're quite kind of low down in the throat. Like, if I was American, I'd be like right up here, and the sound would be like totally different. So then going to sing, my singing voice would have sort of a different tone to it as well. And in Chinese as well, it's very up here, isn't it? It's very kind of it's very heady or something. So an awful lot of my favorite opera singers are actually Chinese or Japanese, where, you know, you kind of have that sort of really heady sort of sound.
That's so funny you say that. Yeah. My favourite opera singer is Sumi Jo, and she's Korean. And the Korean language is often quite further up as well.
Yeah. it has a brightness to it, and a sort of a very bright placement that I think is absolutely beautiful, and it's something I struggle with hugely because of where my speaking voice lies. So there you go, I'm a complete nerd. So
no, I love that. That's brilliant. And it's so funny how people. I always remember the first time I met Hayley Westenra, because she spoke with her New Zealand accent.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I was expecting, because when she sings, she doesn't really have that accent so much.
Yeah. But again, it's actually a very kind of, it sits very high in the face. The accent, it's very kind of like narrow. But people like German and Irish are a little bit more guttural. And you can hear it in the voices. You know, the voices tend to be placed a little bit lower, and they struggle maybe with kind of lifting the sound up. But this as a former opera singer, this is how I think about voices, instead of just open your mic and sing, which
I
is
love
really
that. I love looking at stuff like that. That's what I've always found really interesting. So because other people can look at their instruments like a guitarist, they can look at it, they know where the resonators are, they know where the strings are, they know what they're doing in order to create noise on that instrument. Whereas for us, we can't see it.
Exactly.
So it's so important to know stuff like that. And I love the lower placements, even though I've got quite a high soprano voice like yourself. If you've got more of a lower placement within your larynx, it just adds that warmth to your voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's why I fell in love with your voice when I first heard yours, because you've got that warmth there. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I actually, when I listen to, I'm so envious of your whistle register. I can't get over it. Blows my mind how you can, the ease you have up there. You're just like I can't even, you know. And I think the last video that you did was, you sang the instrumental part for
What's Love Got to Do with It?
And I was listening to you going, that literally looks like it has cost you nothing. And I think you did top D in it. I think the highest note was a top D. And I can sing a top D, but for me, it's like a full-blown operatic top D. Like I have to, you know, I have to use all my support and my breath, and I have to think about it like technically, and you're just like, it's like, oh, come on. Annoying.
I did spend a lot of time focusing on that, though. I spent a lot of time researching different people with higher registers. I spent a lot of time watching their videos, especially live performances, because then you can see what happens.
What they're doing.
I find that fascinating. Watching people going, right, where is their larynx placed? Can I see if they're relaxed and if they're straining for that? And you know, it's really interesting to watch that from a biology sort of point of view. So you can go, it sounds and looks like they're doing this, and then you try it yourself.
Yes, absolutely. But what I've discovered about people with a really good whistle register is it's a different part of your voice that you're accessing. Like you're going into a different place completely. So for me to sing like a top D, I'm kind of staying in the same place. I'm just stretching that space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where real whistle is like actually accessing a different kind of register, a completely different register. Whereas I can bring my high register up, but I can't access a different register, if that makes sense.
That makes complete sense.
It's fascinating when people can. Yeah,
but I'm not sure that's exactly what I'm doing. I feel like that the higher notes are still part of my head voice, because
they probably are. Yeah, they probably are. But I think it's there's probably a slight adjustment that you're making, because I can definitely hear it. For me, I'm not making any adjustment at all. Like, but I think my voice is always has a little bit, because of my accent, maybe kind of always has a little bit of chest mixed into it. But anyway. We could talk about this forever, and maybe we don't know what we're talking about. I could be talking rubbish.
But I love talking about this, because it is fascinating, because it's just it is an instrument, and it's really nice to know where your resonators are and where you place your voice in order to get the sound that you want. And that's why I love recording so much, is because you can play around with that.
I love that. And I don't know, you can't see it here, but I'll just
yay!
I spend so much time in here, not actually even recording like songs that I will release, but actually playing around with sounds that'll suit different songs. And like you said, kind of, I want to see what do I have to do to get a darker sound in here? What do I have to do to kind of make this a little bit airier, or, you know, and then kind of listening back to different versions of singing one song and deciding which way I like it. It's so interesting, because at the end of the day, you know, you want to get, the whole point is to get the emotion across in the best possible way. So the voice, the technique that you're using for that song needs to fit the emotion of that song. So, and that's what I love about crossover. I don't know about you, but the fact that you do use different voices depending on the song that you're singing, and I love that, because you can choose, you know, you can choose to do that breathy sound for something that's maybe a little bit more kind of ethereal, and then if you want to sort of reach a different emotional level, you can maybe go full opera on it. You know, I love that. So
yeah, absolutely. And do you find that when you record a song, you sing it differently for the recording than you do when you sing it live?
Yeah, definitely. When I sing live, I'm probably more, it's probably a comfort thing, but I'm probably more classical when I sing live, I think, because I'm connected to my support. I need to sing a certain way to sort of be able to have vocal health for the whole performance. And that means being on my body all the time and making the air move and all of that. When I record, I have the luxury of maybe for a verse or two kind of doing something really breathy, which I really wouldn't be able to sustain in a whole performance, because there's too much, if you're changing between too many different vocal styles in a performance, there's always the danger that you're going to not quite get it right, and then you'll get tired, you know, if you're switching a lot. So yeah, I love recording for that reason as well, that sort of freedom, you know, to sort of just whisper into a microphone and get a sound that you really wouldn't necessarily use on a live performance, because you have to trust that the sound engineer is going to do what you want with the microphone as well, is going to put enough reverb on it, is going to have it a close sounding thing, you know what I mean? And you really have to trust that you have a good sound engineer, and if you don't, then you're not going to get the effect that you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's why I think it's great when you messaged me the other day and you said, I'm learning how to slice and mix my own vocals.
Yes.
And you've got complete control over how your voice sounds when it's released. That's so clever.
Yes.
How are you getting on with that?
Great, but I'm a little bit of a tech nerd, so like I love that stuff. I love sitting down and figuring stuff out. So I have the free version of GarageBand, my microphone, and an interface. And yeah, it's just really like I'll record maybe 3 or 4 takes of something, normally just the whole way through. And if one take isn't exactly, you know, if there's one thing on sort of like another take that I like, but there's one other take that's perfect otherwise, I can, you know, splice that and kind of make it. Because again, if you're releasing something onto iTunes or Spotify, it needs to be as close to perfect as you can get it. And that's the great thing about recording, because in live performance, people are much more forgiving because they hear it once, you know, and you're in the moment and you're connecting with the atmosphere in the room and the person on stage, and it's a whole experience. Whereas when it's on a CD, it's just that one recording and you're not in control of the atmosphere that person's in when they're listening to it. So you have to put everything, all of that atmosphere into that one recording. All of that emotion, everything you want the listener to feel has to appear just in the recording, with no visuals, no nothing else. So it's so important to get that recording absolutely right. So that's why I suppose you record it so many times, to sort of make sure that every element of every note and every word is creating that atmosphere.
Yeah, because you're just creating that atmosphere with just what they're listening to.
Just
exactly. And there's
nothing else. There's people in the room. Yeah, and like you have to think, you know, they could be playing this over kind of speakers that aren't great in their car, and you know, all of those elements, and at the end of the day, it's your job as a performer to make sure that that one song is the best version it can be. And I've only come to that realization since I've been doing my own recording at home. Like the CD that I did a number of years ago was recorded with a live feel, so everything was just a live take of everything. And listening back to it, it's not the way I wanted it. I realized when I was listening back that that's not the best way of doing a recording. The best way of doing a recording is to actually keep getting into that atmosphere of imagining what the whole room is like, imagining that there are other people in the room, imagining that, you know what I mean? Capturing.
If it's a live recording and you're capturing that moment, you want it to be that raw moment, don't you?
Absolutely. But my absolutely, I completely agree with that. But my live recording, it was just me and the musicians. There was no, and I was still in recording mode. So I didn't really have, I wasn't feeding off an audience, and it was recorded with that sort of like, let's just do one take and move on kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was singing with my live voice, which we talked about earlier. I didn't have the luxury of kind of, you know, whispering some lines or playing around with different kind of vocal tones and whatever, because it was just whatever came with me on the day. Whatever voice I had that day was being recorded. And it was, again, all the musicians were in the room. I couldn't hear myself over the musicians, so my voice was probably a little bit loud and all of those things. So it's kind of, you learn so much as you go through this industry. Do you know what I mean? You're like, wow, you have to make the mistakes before you learn from them. It's mad.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. But you said something just then that I've really tried to say to myself over and over again. You're there with the voice that you've got that day.
Yes.
It's a natural thing, it's a biological thing. Your voice is going to sound different from day to day.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So I like to think of recording now as like a picture of my voice that day. So if I listen to it a few years later and go, I would have done it differently now, but that's not the point. The point is that you did that recording and you took the best picture you could of your voice that day.
Yeah, I love that. And it's a real part of kind of your history as a singer.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
An accurate thing.
Yeah. And I remember when I was recording Shine, I wanted everything to be absolutely perfect, every word, every note. And over the years, I feel like I've kind of let go of that, which is slightly different to what you're saying. Because I don't know, I kind of feel like now that if there are bits in there where the expression isn't perfect, but it's more emotional, then maybe that is more perfect because you're getting that emotion across. So it's not trading perfect for not as good, it's trading perfect for a better user experience.
But that's my
I'm hoping I'm explaining this right.
I mean by perfect. That's what I mean by perfect. It's not about vocal perfection necessarily. It's about making sure that you're getting that atmosphere across, because the atmosphere is the most important thing, and the atmosphere comes from the emotion that you're giving and the freedom to use your voice the way you really, really want to, that really echoes that song perfectly. So that's what perfection is. You know, that's being in the right zone, creating the best user experience, as you said. So I would agree with you on that, but it's not about having every note perfect, because that can then dilute the emotion completely. You know, I'm going to take a swig of water.
No, you're completely right. It completely can, because then you sound more like a robot. It's like all of those pop songs that you get nowadays where they've got so much compression on it and auto-tune. It's like it doesn't sound like a real person anymore. And how is the listener supposed to connect to that person if it doesn't sound natural anymore? If you sound like a robot, there's not going to be that emotional connection that you're trying to get from your art and from your music.
Completely. I think an awful lot of pop music though at the moment is sort of very just like, there's two types of music really that do two different things. They're the ones that kind of make you want to get up and dance, you know, and that's an awful lot of pop music at the moment, is sort of like gives you that kind of boost of energy, and that's great. That's an emotion. But then there's the other music that, you know, is slowed down, maybe the ballads or the whatever, and it creates a different sort of like a meditative kind of experience for the listener. And I think that sort of thing is you really want to hear the real person there. Like when I think of one of the most beautiful recordings I've ever heard was Sarah McLachlan's Angel. When she sings that, it feels like she's singing it just for you. You know what I mean? And that's complete raw emotion to me. And that
makes me want to cry every time.
Absolutely. there's nothing robotic about it. And she uses so many different vocal colors and kind of different. She goes from tiny pianissimo sound up to like kind of a raw outburst, and that's what it's supposed to be about, I think. So I suppose different music is supposed to do a different job, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
So most of the music that we do the job is to kind of create that kind of emotional, kind of pull at your heartstrings kind of atmosphere. You know, we very rarely do the like, it's so hard to find those songs, isn't it? As a singer, you know, where you're like, let's jump and be happy.
Yeah, you're completely right. Because when I'm putting shows together, I'm like putting in all my favourite classical crossover songs, and I'm thinking, what have I got in here that's upbeat?
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. When we go to America every year, my job is to put the program together, and like you, the first few years, it was like, wow, Ireland does an awful lot of sad songs. Like, we're really famous for like the Celtic music being really sort of like, you know, oh, here's a sad story. Do you want to cry? Because I'll make you cry. You know,
oh, you do, yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Gosh.
So, and I find myself then, you know, introducing the song, you know, to the audience and saying, so Ireland is famous for many things, and I'll be like Guinness, whiskey, and whatever, and the audience will be laughing, or like, and also sad songs, sad songs about people just, you know, being alone. And but I'm lucky with Affiniti that I tour America with, that it's a harp and a violin as well, so they get a break from the sadness, and then the girls get to play a jig. Do you know, like, so there is a sort of a nice balance when you have instrumentals, but as a singer it can be kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
Kind of happy.
Tour in America, that just sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds like so much fun. Do you know if it's going ahead this year with everything that's going on?
So we have all the theatres booked, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And this will be our 7th year. So for the past 6 years, this has been like the highlight of my year, going to America. And we've such really loyal fans. Like, there was somebody on Facebook yesterday who said he's been to our show in Spokane every year for the past 4 years, and then somebody underneath going, oh my God, it's the highlight of our year too, whatever. So we've really started building an audience, and we've great kind of our American family over there. We're not related to any of them, but they've become our American family over there. So, I mean, the theatres are booked. As far as we know, we're going. Oh gosh, my battery is about to die, but it's not. Okay. It's still up there, but it's fine. So yeah, as far as I know, I'm going. But who knows? I mean, America is in a really bad state with the coronavirus. So, I don't know when that will start to dissipate. There's no way of knowing. So I guess we're going to we always look at doing our visas around July. Who knows at this stage? I mean, I guess we'll sort of reconvene or make a call maybe June, July. It's scary because it's a big chunk of what I earn during the year. You know?
Gosh, yeah.
And at the moment, obviously, you know yourself, all gigs have been cancelled. I don't have any stream of income coming from anywhere at the moment. So so it's to think that America may not happen is quite scary. But at the end of the day, people have far worse things to complain about. So I'm certainly not complaining. I just have to think of a way of sort of turning this on its head and somehow making a positive out of it.
Somehow trying to see that silver lining that you were talking about earlier.
Holy moly.
To see, I mean, when you've just described it as the highlight of your year, and
yeah.
I remember talking to you when you were out there last time, and it sounded amazing because as a solo performer yourself, then going out and being able to perform with Affiniti, with your friends, going around to different places in America, it sounds like an amazing adventure. And so I can't imagine you'd like missing out on that this year because of all this craziness that's been going on. I know a lot of people have all kinds of things, and it's just so sad, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I look at it as, look, this is happening to the whole world. You know, it's not like, I think I would find it more difficult to not be able to go if it was a personal reason. If it was kind of just if it was a different reason that wasn't kind of affecting the whole world. The way I look at it is, look, there's no, if it's not able to go ahead, there's nothing we can do about it. And this coronavirus, even if it does last until December or January, it's not going to last forever. The world will come back. The world will still be here. And, you know, maybe it's teaching us to be sort of find different ways of kind of connecting with people and different ways to be positive. Maybe these are lessons that we needed to learn, who knows. So I'm certainly not going to panic about it. You know, I like to focus on what I can do right now, and how I like to focus as well on trying to sort of, what's the, Charlie Haughey used to have that phrase, what was it? Ignore the negative and something, like, multiply the positive, or whatever it was. It was okay. Yeah, so kind of like, somebody would probably tell me what that was. I've forgotten completely. It was, my mum used to quote it. Yeah, just sort of maximize the positive and sort of just kind of acknowledge the negative, but don't dwell on it. You know, that's my policy. So I'm certainly not going to worry about it just yet. And as big as, I mean, I'm going to behave as if it is happening. And we, you know, Affiniti, we're recording, well, we had started recording an album to bring on tour with us this year.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. But even if we don't get to go on tour, we'll finish the album and we'll have it, you know, to sell online or whatever. So, and we can still do music videos. You know, we have a good YouTube channel. We're going to focus more on that, put some more videos up. It's a great way of connecting with people. And yeah, there's a little bit of streaming income that comes from that. So it's not all bad. Not all bad.
And like you say, it gives you time to focus on those things that you couldn't focus on before. So like streaming income or growing your YouTube channel, those kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about. Like, you know, they're never going to be empty days. They're just days that you have to maybe adapt. It's all about adaptability. You know, you find yourself at home and you can't go outside. There's plenty of things you can do at home. And in fairness, for me, it's like, what are the things I can do before I have to go and spring clean the house?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's a better motivation than anything. Like loads of things to do that means that I do not have to tidy up.
Yeah,
and rearrange my
brilliant. I love that, especially while nobody's coming around.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, this doesn't need to be tidy, it's fine.
So other than ignoring cleaning the house, do you think that streaming and YouTube will be the things that you'll be focusing on now, or have you got other ideas of what you'll be?
So for me, I think engaging with the people who I have a very loyal following on Facebook, and they're amazing, and I love seeing the same names pop up, and there's some new ones kind of recently as well, and I love engaging with them. So that I'm going to focus on engaging more with the people that I have on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to a lower degree, and yeah, creating beautiful things. That's our job, I think, to create some beauty, you know, in the world, and create something that people can connect to. So I suppose, yeah, and I'm really lucky that I have the little studio set up in the house, and I have some backing tracks, and I have some musicians from home that have their own setup or whatever. So I can record to my heart's content here, and then when it's all over, do some videos, upload to YouTube, and just create something beautiful. That's what I love to do, something that is, you know, audibly and visually beautiful. That's my aim. And I'm lucky that I've done a lot of really nice videos and have had the opportunity to work with great people, and I have them up on YouTube at the moment. And I love that. It's sort of, they're like, I don't have children, so they're my little babies, you know, my little babies, like my CDs, and I'm putting money and time into making my little babies grow.
Yeah, well, they're your creations, aren't they?
They're my creations.
A lot of your heart and your soul into those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel, you know, I think when you have kids, I think a lot of your energy and kind of motivation and passion goes into these extraordinary humans that you have made from nothing. extraordinary. And I think in the absence of that, you need something else to sort of give your passion to and give your time and your energy to. And for me, I'm lucky that I love music that much. And I have the time now to sort of really put my energy into sort of making the music grow. And am I going too far with this metaphor? I think
no, you're not at all. I completely get it. And you're doing such an amazing thing as well, because I love the videos that you're putting out. They are so well made, and they are so beautiful. And I know that you've had huge success with one of your Christmas songs, haven't you? The Celtic.
2 of them, actually. Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah. So, Oh Holy Night, we uploaded about 6 years ago, and this is before we knew anything about how YouTube worked. And before we knew it, it had like 1 million views, and we were like, oh, wow, people seem to like this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's become kind of, and people listen to it. Like, you can see on YouTube, like how many people listen to particular videos throughout the year. People still listen to it even throughout the year. So 2 years ago, I released another song, and I wanted it to be at the same kind of level as A Holy Night, sort of like a sequel almost. So I did Silent Night with my good friend Lynn Hillary as a duet, and that has almost, well, it's I think about 700,000 views on it now. So yeah, I seem to Christmas and religious music seems to be where my niche is at the moment. So that's fun. So I'm hoping to do another Christmas song this year and create something very beautiful to go with that, because I want every video to sort of match in terms of, well, I have the videos that I do that are a little bit more like just me and my screen, and then there's the videos that cost more but also such a much bigger reward. So the next Christmas song, I want to sort of make that kind of another sort of Silent Night or Holy Night, something that's very visually very beautiful. So watch this space.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see that, and I can't wait to see what it'll do on your YouTube channel as well.
Exactly. That's when we got all our traffic, so we may as well just throw out another Christmas song.
Well, now's a great time to focus on that, because like you say, you're able to explore the ideas of what you'd like to create with it. You're able to explore the recording ideas of how you'd like it to sound. Yeah, and it's a good thing to start focusing on now as well, because people don't realise, but like, you've got to start these things like a year in advance to then release for Christmas. It takes such a long time.
Honestly, and the amount of thought that goes into like picking the song and arranging the song and deciding, how you want to sort of film it. There's so many different ways of making something come to life. So I have a great videographer I work with, though. He doesn't like being called a videographer. He's like, that's for people who do weddings. It's not the same thing. I'm a filmmaker. Sorry, so I'm a filmmaker. So he's, and I love having another person as part of the team, so that, you can send the song to another creative, artistic person who will be able to listen to it and go, here are my ideas. I love that, because I think the more kind of creative minds you have involved, you'll end up creating something that's, it has a whole sort of spectrum of emotions to it.
Gosh, when you say that, it really amazes me that you haven't really done that much writing yet, because that's the whole great thing about writing, is that exact thing that you just said. You'd be so great at it.
I think I'm a little terrified because I've never done it before. I'm a bit like, where do you even start? I did get by somebody a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, who had written music to a song, and he's like, I'd like you to sing it, but I don't have any words. Could you compose words? I was like, I'll give it a go. And what I came up with, he seemed to really, really like, and it wasn't awful. So I think I'm okay. Once I hear a piece of music, I will get an emotion from it, and I'll let that kind of draw me into whatever. But I find it very hard to start from nothing, so I guess there's no excuse. What else am I doing here other than sort of trying to figure out how to songwrite? I have a person that I work with who has a great ear for melody that I'm going to work with, but I need to go to her with ideas. Right. And at the moment, I think I'm putting it off, almost like tidying the apartment. I'm putting it off because it's something that is going to push me out of my comfort zone, and I'm like, but I like it here. It's comfortable.
Yeah, I think this
So,
whole situation is putting a lot of people outside of their comfort zones, because I've just been chatting to Joanna Forrest, and
yeah,
normally she's quite proactive like
yeah,
you,
yeah,
but she's just said, I just feel like there's we called it the fog of overwhelm at the moment, where everything is just, there's so many things that are up in the air. And you
yeah,
don't know how the industry is going to recover. And
yeah,
you've got so many people saying, you need to make the most of this time by doing this, that, and the other. And but you don't know how to do any of it. And then it is
yeah,
just fog of overwhelm. And so that learning curve that you've got to go through is for all of
yeah.
these things. And oh, hello. You
Sorry, I
disappeared
lost
for a
you there.
second
I
there.
only have 1% battery left, so I'm gonna have to plug my phone in. Um,
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we can wrap this up, and then we can always have you back some other time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that'll
okay,
be really nice. But yeah, with
yeah,
the songwriting, it like, you're so creative and you're so brilliant at melodies anyway, and bringing them to life. Even if you feel
yeah.
like
I'm good at arranging, but
be,
yeah, it's yeah,
because I really want to be more like you in being more of a tech nerd, because that stuff scares me so much, and I
I
feel like that's
know.
a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it's yeah. We each have something, don't we? You know, I think songwriting is anybody who can write any song, even a bad one. I'm like, but like it's still better. I've never done anything. Do you know what I mean? Like even like people when the Eurovision comes out and people are all like, you know, commenting on their high horse with like, oh, this is rubbish, and I'm like, yeah, but like, have you written anything recently? Like, you know, it's hard, like to put any words and music together is hard. So it'll be interesting to see in like 6 months time if this person here has turned into a songwriter, because this person here is like, I don't know how to write music. Are you kidding me?
You totally do. I just 100% believe in you, and I know that you can do it. So we'll have
Okay.
to have another chat like this and try and write something
Yeah,
together so that we can, you know,
I'll set myself
explore
the
that
aim of
together.
like writing a bad song, and then I'll go up to a medium song, and then a good song, and then a great song. So I give myself permission to like just write something, even if it's rubbish, just write something. And
That is
then hopefully
really
get the
brilliant.
ball
I'm
rolling.
sure it won't be rubbish. I'm sure it'll be beautiful, and I'm just like totally sure that you can do it, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, I'll finish with this actually, because when I was teaching, this was the thing I used to notice with people was when they came into me, people were always afraid, and they were always afraid of the sound being bad, you know, of like not being good enough or singing for me for the first time. And I used to say to them, okay, you need to give yourself permission to be bad at this, because it's only through allowing yourself to kind of start and be not good that you get to the point where you're really good, because you can't go from nothing to brilliant. You're at a lesson, you're in a singing lesson, or you're in 6 weeks of singing lessons, or 6 months, or 2 years, to go from a starting point to an end point. So what happens in between is going to be a mess of, oh my God, that was so much better, but it's still not over here. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you can't see my hand, but over here. So I think probably I should give myself the same advice. Just give yourself permission to start and like write Ba Ba Black Sheep, you know?
Absolutely. And if it ends up being a world hit like Ba Ba Black Sheep, then you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that one.
Moo moo cow in a field.
That is absolutely brilliant. That is the perfect place to end, and very inspiring. So thank you so much for coming and joining me, and I look forward to having you back again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll chat again, because lockdown is a crazy thing. We will chat again.
Absolutely. What else are we going to do?
Exactly.
I will return with my version of Moo Moo Cow in a Field.
I will look forward to that.
For your critique.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Bye, darling. Lovely to talk to you. Bye.
Bye.